Hey, I got some beginner tips for Lords of the Fallen. Some tips that I wish I knew in my first playthrough for this game. Can be pretty punishing. Some of these tips are pretty simple, I think, but really they would have helped out my first playthrough and my enjoyment of the game a lot if I had known about them. So I hope they help you guys out. If they do, hit that like button. If you have any other tips too for new players or myself, leave them down in the comments below. I would really appreciate it. This game has been a lot of fun, even with some of the performance issues and bugs and stuff like that. It's still been a blast, and I'm really enjoying it. So I hope you guys are too. Let's jump into the tips. Something I love about Lords of the Fallen is you cannot die if you're blocking. Legit, if you're blocking, and as long as you're facing the target with a shield, with your weapon, anything like that, and you have stamina, you won't die from this. You cannot die from it, which is absolutely insane. It's great for if you're learning boss fights that you don't know the parry timings or dodge timings to this. I'm telling you, it's so forgiving in this game, and I love it. You can pull in vigor from far away. You don't have to go chase all that stuff down. So if you're a ranged character, you kill a mob on a ledge or something like that, just use your lantern to bring that stuff in. You're going to use R1 or RB for that instead of the soul flay ability. It is so freaking helpful in this game, and I didn't know about it till so far in. If you guys ever get stuck in the game, like you don't know where to go, maybe you go to an area and you can't leave it for some reason. This has actually happened to me a few times of just exploring, because there's lots to explore in this game. There's an item that can bring you back to the last vestige point if you guys didn't know. So you go to your inventory, you're going to see this item called the desiccated vestige moth. Basically a desiccated umbral moth used to travel to the most recently used vestige in exchange for a sacrifice of vigor. It doesn't just take some of your vigor, it takes all of it, so be warned for that. But if you literally get stuck, this is so freaking helpful. Dual wielding weapons and two-handed weapons are both very viable and very good in this game, and fun, really, to be honest. But what I've noticed is dual wielding is so good against multiple targets, multiple enemies at once. Your light attacks do more of a widespread attack, and with your heavy, you push back blows with it. It's much easier to deal with targets this way when you have a bunch of them coming at you. I've switched to the two-wielding weapons when I know that I'm going to be going through an area with a ton of mobs. Maybe I'm farming some vigor to level up. Switching to dual wield is so good. Two-handed weapons, what I've noticed as well, they're much better against single target enemies or boss fights. It's easier to learn the parry timings, I think, with them. They also do more stagger damage off their heavy attacks, so being able to switch in between both of these and while you're progressing through the game or getting through certain areas is incredibly helpful. It helped me get through certain areas that were so freaking annoying and frustrating with some of these mobs. It came in clutch. This one I wish I knew for sure is heavy attacks don't necessarily do more damage all the time. If you light attack somebody, sometimes you'll see that the damage numbers are actually very similar to when you do a heavy attack. But what's really important about this is that you can actually, the heavy attack does way more damage to stagger. So if you're trying to stagger an enemy to commit a brutal attack or anything like that, it can be way more beneficial to do a heavy attack versus a light attack. In the Umbral realm, you can actually earn way more vigor than you can in the normal realm. If you look on the top right, I have 1670 vigor right now, and then right below that you should see an X or times 1.1. So I'm going to be earning a little bit more vigor for every kill basically I have in this realm, which is pretty cool. You'll see the eye there, and you'll see kind of a meter on the outside of the eye, the white. And that's going to kind of increase, and then as that happens, the modifier will increase. So it can go up to a max of 3, I believe, which is a lot. So times 3 vigor basically for killing mobs, which is insane. So it can be a really good idea to come to the Umbral realm if you're struggling with a fight, a boss fight. Maybe you're a little under leveled. It can be great to come to the Umbral realm and just farm some mobs. Just level up, find a good area that gives you some good XP, and farm some mobs. Have fun with it. I wish that I had known this when I first started, because oh my gosh, there were some times where, I was severely under-leveled. I guarantee it with some fights, and it was so difficult. And I didn't actually pay attention to the modifier that was in the top right. But yeah, the longer you stay in here, the more the modifier will increase, the more vigor you can get. After a few minutes, I think it's close to 5 minutes, the eye will go up to a times 3. It'll get times 3 modifier, and the eye is going to turn red. Once the eye turns red, this is where you start to get chased. Okay, so you can see this glowy thing on the ground. Basically, this is this Grim Reaper that is an unkillable mob that will basically hunt you down and kill you. You can't escape, you can rest and all that stuff, but it can be super dangerous. Just be careful. And there's actually some cheeses that be able to kill him as well. It's pretty easy to avoid overall, but you can also see in the modifier times 3, it's crazy how much vigor you start to get. Also, just as long as the longer you're in the Umber realm, just the harder that the mobs can become, and the more that spawn. So it's kind of a more risk, more reward. Lords of the Fallen throws a ton of information at you at the beginning of the game, and even throughout the game, there's constant things that are changing and learning as you're progressing through the story. It can be kind of overwhelming, and it's very difficult to remember everything. At least it was for me. There is a section that actually goes through every single thing they taught you in the game. So if you go into your inventory here, you go to equipment, go over to inventory. If you go all the way over, you can press L2, R2, anything like that, the left trigger, right trigger. Get over here to tutorials. There's a section right next to all. You just make your way past armor tanks, gestures, and then there'll be tutorial section. There are so many tutorials for literally everything that you could need here. Everything they teach you in the beginning of the game as you're progressing through the game, like online PvP, backstabbing, parasites, blocking, wither damage, how that works. It is so helpful. I'm not even playing like the amount of times that I've come here because I forgot what the heck something did, or I just skipped over something and came here. It was here. It is so helpful. This one's super simple, and it's probably pretty obvious if you played Souls-like games before, but I mean it, guys. Destroy everything. There are boxes and objects you can destroy in this game, walls that have secret areas and items all of the time. So when you're roaming around in the world and exploring, destroying items to destroying boxes to find certain items. There's also mobs that will try to keep you off edges, and that happens a lot, so be careful of that, because this is definitely a fall damage kind of game, falling off edges, but you can destroy literally so much, so make sure that you're exploring and doing that. This one's really simple, and you might already know about it, but it's incredibly helpful, especially if you're new to Souls-like games. You can add effects to your weapons, so your one-handed weapons, your two-handed weapons, your dual-wielding weapons. You can add a bunch of different stuff. As you go through your playthrough, you'll get these salts, these holy salts, fire salts, wither salts, and you'll actually be able to buy these as well. You can use these to add effects to your weapons of whatever type that is. Holy damage is really good against most enemies in this game. It helps out a ton. Really helped me out in a certain boss fight recently. If you go to your equipment, though, you can actually put these on a quick access items. You can put it on mid-boss fight, mid-fight, because they don't last forever or until you die. So they're really helpful, though. So if you see here on the bottom left of my screen, I can switch between whichever one I want to use, and then I could press it and it'll add that effect to my weapon of whatever I'm using. That's all the tips I have for you guys. I really hope they helped you out. I know some of them are pretty simple, but I'm relatively new to Souls-like games. I've been really enjoying them. I've had some friends get me into these type of games, and they've been a blast so far, and these tips really would have helped me out a lot in the beginning of this game and just made my playthrough way more enjoyable. So yeah, I hope they helped you guys out. Let me know if they did down in the comments below, and I really appreciate you guys watching. It means a lot. Thank you.